The Lotus Princess and the Dragon King. Once upon a time, in a magical land filled with flowers and lush greenery, there lived a beautiful Lotus Princess. She lived in a grand palace surrounded by flowers of every shade and hue imaginable, yet the Lotus Princess yearned for something more. One day, as she was strolling through the gardens, the Lotus Princess happened upon a small dragon. The dragon was unlike any she had ever seen, small, chubby, and with a silly grin that made her giggle. The Lotus Princess introduced herself, and the dragon explained that he was the Dragon King's son. The Lotus Princess was surprised. She had heard tales of the mighty Dragon King, and they all spoke of him as a fierce creature who would never allow anyone near him. When she asked the dragon how he came to be with her, he explained that he had wandered away from his father's kingdom and ended up lost in the gardens. The Lotus Princess felt sorry for the little dragon and offered to help him find his way home. The dragon was delighted. He had been lost for so long and had begun to worry that he would never find his way back. Together, they set off through the gardens. The little dragon led the way, his chubby body waddling along as the Lotus Princess followed behind, admiring the beauty of the flowers and the trees around her. As they walked, they came across all sorts of creatures, butterflies, birds, even a few rabbits. Every time they met a new friend, the Lotus Princess and the little dragon would stop and say hello. After what seemed like hours, the little dragon finally led the Lotus Princess to a large cave. He explained that this was his father's home, and that the Dragon King was inside waiting for him to return. The Lotus Princess was nervous. She had heard that the Dragon King was a fierce creature, and she wasn't sure if it was safe for her to go inside. But the little dragon was adamant. He wanted to introduce his new friend to his father. Slowly, they entered the cave. It was dark and damp, with stalactites hanging from the ceiling. But as their eyes adjusted to the darkness, they saw something unexpected: the Dragon King, sitting on a throne made of gold and surrounded by piles of treasure. The Lotus Princess had expected the Dragon King to be fierce and frightening, but instead, he was kind and gentle. He welcomed her into his home and thanked her for bringing his son back to him. The Lotus Princess and the Dragon King started talking. They talked about the gardens and the flowers, and the Dragon King shared stories of his adventures all over the world. The little dragon sat at their feet, listening to everything they said. As the evening wore on, the Lotus Princess realized that it was time for her to go home. The Dragon King thanked her for her help and offered to escort her back to the palace. As they walked back through the gardens, the Lotus Princess thought about all the new friends she had made and all the wonderful adventures she had experienced. She felt grateful for the opportunity to meet someone as wonderful as the Dragon King, and she knew that she would never forget her time in the magical land of flowers. From that day forward, the Lotus Princess and the little dragon became the best of friends. They would often walk through the gardens together, talking and laughing and enjoying each other's company. And whenever the Lotus Princess saw the Dragon King, she would smile and wave, remembering the kindness he had shown her all those years ago. And so the story of the Lotus Princess and the Dragon King became one of the most beloved tales in all the land. Children everywhere would listen with rapt attention as their parents read the story aloud, dreaming of the magical land filled with flowers and the wonderful friends waiting for them there.